Hello, everybody. Welcome to the November Commissioners meeting. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Sorry for the late start. We had a little bit of carryover from the DSS meeting, so appreciate you guys' patience, and we'll try to get back on track as quickly as we can here. If we could ask the Commissioner Pittman, if you don't mind, to ask the invocation, please.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you, God, for another opportunity to get together and do the business of the county. We thank you, dear Lord, for the many blessings that's been brought to our county that we were able to celebrate today, dear Lord. A lot of milestones, and we give you credit for those, God, and we thank you for your guidance, dear Lord. We ask you to be with us tonight as we make decisions, dear Lord. Please help us to make decisions that are prudent and benefit our fellow citizens to the fullest extent. We thank you most of all for your son, Jesus, who died for our sins. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone, please make yourself aware of the ethics awareness and conflict of interest. A reminder. Here, no conflicts of interest. This evening, do we have any additions or changes to the agenda? Here none. I have a motion to adopt the agenda. So moved. Have a second. Second. All in favor, vote by usual sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from October 2nd. I have a motion to approve. So moved. Second. Second. All in favor, vote by the usual sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda this evening is our employee of the month, and unfortunately, this month's employee of the month not able to be here due to another commitment, but I'll go ahead and read this for Misty, and remember, Misty, your prayers. Her father just got put into the Mitchell house, and he's going through some dementia and having a really hard time. So just remember her in your prayers. The Mitchell County Board of Commissioners would like to recognize Misty Sparks from the Inspections Department as Employee of the Month for October. Misty's been nominated and selected for going above and beyond in managing the inspections office during the absence of the inspections director, a contractor for all level 3 activities in the county, and assisting with getting a new director settled into the office. Misty doesn't miss a beat when completing all associated paperwork for inspections, fire marshal office, emergency management, addressing the North Carolina floodplain data. Daily, Misty works with the contractors in Mitchell County, and she does it with a smile and demonstrates a calm demeanor, which makes her a joy to be around. She provides excellent service in a meeting the requirements to ensure that the needs of our citizens are met for our inspections team. Misty has mastered a newly introduced software system that supports inspectors when they use the system. Misty goes above and beyond to support all aspects of the inspections department, even when she is away from the office, by addressing any issues that arise during her time away. She's greatly appreciated for her teamwork, support for her co-workers, and her compassion and positivity at all times. Thank you, Misty, for going above and beyond and providing the service to our citizens they deserve. As you guys know, we had our level 3 building inspector took another job, and so we've basically been running the county with contract inspectors, which means that Misty has been fielding most of a lot of the questions that our contractors and whatnot have, and she's done a really good job of it. So we really appreciate what she's doing over there and keep everything moving. Probably the busiest time in the county from a construction point of view. So, really appreciate it. Next item on this evening is Ms. Jessie with the tax collection report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is our busy time. So we're collecting. For the month of October, we collected $1,048,826.76.
And to get you up to date on our collection activities. We've got 54 people in payment agreements, which is a total of $90,000. Rounded off. Foreclosures, we only have one for this month of November. That's going to be auctioned off. And remember, back in February 2022, I just want to give you an update on that. We proactively began the foreclosure process. We decided in one of our meetings here. And I ran up a total since we started. There has been 275,000 paid, and then auctioned 56,000. So
Good job, great.
and we've got 22 taxpayers right now in the activity right now that going forward. So hopefully we'll get those paid and not have to auction, but
That's great.
that's where we're at now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda this evening is our new CPA, Ms. Misty Watson, for our audit presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Well, first of all, I just want to start with thanking you all for allowing me to do the audit this year. It's our first year, but I think it went very well, and Mavis and Allison and Christy were awesome to work with, and Alan, and we got everything done pretty quickly, I feel like. So definitely want to thank them. And then, you know, worked pretty closely with DSS, and they did a wonderful job and were very timely in getting all the information done. So it went great. But I think Mavis gave you guys a little handout. And so the second page are just a few highlights. And so the county received an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion and it's what you want. And again, just want to thank all the staff for the county. And another highlight is the general fund increased $4,172,000 in fiscal year 23. And there are several non-major special revenue funds, such as 911, DSS Trust, those type of smaller funds. And those increased $271,509. And then at the end of 2023, the general fund had an unassigned fund balance of $10,682,727. And then I'm sure you all are aware that the one installment note that the county had was paid in full at the end of June 2023. And then the next few pages are just some comparatives from 2022 to 2023. So you can see the total revenues, which include transfers in any installment, like there was like a leases, those type of things go in revenues, but those went from 21 million to 26 million in the current fiscal year. And then expenses were at 21.6 million and went up to 21.9 million in 2023. And then the next page is just your total fund balance, which includes restricted, unassigned, committed, anything like that. Went from 8.6 million to 12.7 million in 2023. And then property taxes actually collected, which includes interest and prior year taxes, went from 11 million to a little over 14 million in fiscal year 23. And then general government expenditures, which includes admin, finance, tax, those type of departments, went from 2.5 million to 3 million in fiscal year 23. And then public safety increased from 5.7 to 5.8 million. And then transportation had a decrease of 908 to 797. And then human services, which is a huge department, went from 5.1 million to 5.4 million. And then education, which includes the community college and the public school, went from 3.9 million to a little over 4 million. And then, as we just spoke about, debt service. Debt service did increase because there are leases, and then there is a new GASB this year, GASB 96, which is for information technology subscriptions. And the county did have one that met that criteria, And that is the way they have it now. It is included as a loan, even though it's truly not like a typical installment note that we're used to, but that is why that hasn't increased. And then the last page is just some general performance indicators, which the local government commission likes us to look at as auditors. Again, there are no red flags. The audit was submitted last week. It was submitted early. Continued stable property tax valuation and collection. Again, GASB 96 was implemented this year. In the financial audit, there were no findings, no weaknesses or deficiencies. And there were 3 findings related to DSS with Medicaid. One was an overstatement of salaries on the 1571 report, which is just submitted to the state, and that's how the county gets their funding to cover salaries and other expenditures. And I picked 60 Medicaid participants to test. One of those, the asset verification, wasn't completed. That just looks at bank accounts, like that sort of thing. There's like they test certain bank accounts through the state with NCFAST, and so that wasn't completed on one participant. And then real property verification, which is just verified with the Register of Deeds through the county, that was not completed on 3 of the participants. But they did run those when I, showed them these findings, and it showed that the benefits wouldn't have changed at that time. So I think it'll be, fine as far as that goes. But really, that's it. I don't know if anybody has any questions or.
What is the percentage of our fund balance reserves? Like, do we?
Like the procedures for your fund balance?
Percent.
Oh, the percent of, I'll tell you. So. Should be in here. Okay, so yeah, so your unassigned fund balance over general fund expenditures was 48.9%.
Thank you very much. Anybody got any questions? Very nice work. We heard a lot of good things from Mavis and the team, so welcome to Mitchell County.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Glad to hear.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
And don't feel like you have to stay here with us either. Our meetings last a long time, so I know we're excited. There's no judgments cast if you leave, so.
I can just follow it.
Next on the items list, we've got the cooperative extension and introduction review. So, excited.
So good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to visit with you tonight. Certainly enjoyed this afternoon as a side note, seeing all the things that are going on, and looking forward to 4-H being involved in some of those. So it is certainly my privilege to introduce to you one of your newest folks here in the county, Ms. Erin Norton. Erin started with us September the 6th and has been really going at it ever since. And so the biggest issue with Erin's trying to slow her down just to learn a little bit. But so I'd rather have a young agent doing that than one she got a prod to get out of the office. So she's doing a wonderful job. I asked her to spend a little time tonight and share her story with you. And then I'll give you a quick update about the rest of the extension when Erin's done. If that's okay.
Be great. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, everyone, for such a warm welcome into Mitchell County. Whether it's been working in the schools, in the community, or in local businesses, I have felt fully and warmly welcomed by everyone I've met. So I grew up in Henderson County, so I'm not too far from here. And since starting in extension, my big goal has been to get the clubs back up and going. Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought.
Are you an old Wolfpacker? Did you go to NC State?
I did not. I went to Appalachian State.
We won't hold that too back.
No worries, I have plans. My brother's Wolfpack, if that counts for anything.
That goes the log.
So my goals have been getting the clubs back up and running and developing high quality programs for the youth of Mitchell County. I have worked my way into the schools through the YMCA after school program at Googe and Deaton Elementary. And like Ryan said, I really want to, I'm really anxious to get things going. And again, I'm so glad to be here.
Are you located in the county now? Are you still in Henderson County? Are you moving to Mitchell County or what's the?
So I'm actually still in Boone after graduating it from
Okay,
Appalachian
so you're
State.
just up the road then.
Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
too far from here.
Gotcha.
Thank you so much.
Yep, well,
She did a really good job at helping out at the festival. She was instrumental in helping Sharon with the chili and cornbread cook-off. So.
you understand the importance.
Right
of
into the
this.
community.
Well, we're certainly happy to have Erin on board and, she's gonna be a great addition to the staff here. And, I think there's gonna be great things ahead for her here. So just a quick update on the other things that are going on in extension. The FCS position that we've advertised, we have some applicants for that. Probably within the next 2 weeks, we're gonna be doing some pre-screening with those folks, trying to select someone to be here full-time for you. So hopefully within about 6 weeks or so, we'll have that position filled. And it will be 100% here, not shared, which is a great thing because then you have more input and more guidance offered to you as a board to meet the needs of Mitchell County alone versus having to share with someone. So we appreciate you support in making that happen with that position. We're in the closing stages of the FNEP position we talked about, which is Expanded Food Nutrition Education Program. It's a nutritional based program for limited resource families. Probably within a week, we're gonna get final approval on that to go. We have, normally that is a 50-50 split. For funding, we've got that, negotiated to a 70-30. It's gonna be 30 on the county side versus 70 for the university, so we feel like that was a good move there. So, we're gonna go to having 2 full-time people in the family consumer science arena, and they're gonna have the opportunity to do a lot more for the folks here in the county, so we're certainly looking forward to that. Just a quick ag update, the Fraser First Seedling Project is ongoing and is doing well. Don't know if that's been shared with you exactly what that's about, but we lose about a third of the seedlings for Fraser First to Phytophthora. And so we're trying to look at containerizing those seedlings. So this research project that Shane is leading is doing very well there.
Is that a fungus?
Yes, yes, a root rot issue.
After when they become more mature trees that are not.
Yeah, that generally goes away. It doesn't ever go away. It just decreases the severity of what it can do.
Okay.
So moving them from a bed to containers stops the spread a lot easier, a lot quicker. So that's kind of what this project's looking at. So if we can protect that third or even half of that third, we've made a significant
It's like
difference.
containers, like coming up like full containers.
Little pots. Along those lines, did host the State Christmas Tree Association meeting a couple months ago. Had about 130 people attend that. I have received numerous phone calls, emails, letters about how well that was put together, how well the folks were treated. So certainly got a feather in the cap for the community by doing that. So that's very successful. And then Christmas tree harvest has begun, so it's a busy time. Did want to give you another update about 4-H. Erin is certainly off and running and doing a lot of things, but one of the things I looked at when I came in was looking at what the enrollment in 4-H had been over the years. And I went back pre-COVID because from COVID forward, that kind of messed up with how that's done. But pre-COVID, we were averaging somewhere between 1,250 and 1,500 kids going through 4-H a year, which is a huge amount of people. There's no way one person can handle that. But Mitchell County has a long and storied tradition of working in 4-H, seeing growth and development out of the young people that we touch. And not just that, but just seeing how well they perform when they learn how to do public speaking or learn how to do a presentation or learn how to demonstrate things. Or as you two know how the shooting sports competition goes. So at some point, maybe we're looking at trying to move forward. Just so you know, from a percentage basis, we've got a pretty good deal going there, not just because Aaron's here, but we worked it out with A&T where we're just a touch over 25% funding that for the county. So I've worked it out with the university if the board is okay with it, and if, you know, we think we can figure it out, we can put another agent here to help with that, to make sure that we can meet the needs of all of those, young people here in the county to move us forward. We've had 2 people on staff before. We'd like to move to that so that we don't lose, the number of contacts that we've had. The youth in this county deserve that. You guys are doing a tremendous job out here with what you're doing right out here that I attended this afternoon. We want to keep that momentum going forward, making sure that we take care of the youth in the county. So be happy to visit with you about that. Alan's got the information on that. So that's kind of a quick update on what's going on up here on the corner, and certainly been a pleasure working here. So if you got any questions, I think everybody has my contact information. Let me know. I'd be happy to visit with you, or you got questions tonight, I'd be happy to take those.
I don't have any questions. I just have a comment that I just appreciate all of your hard work since you've been here. We'll keep you around as long as we can.
Well, it's my pleasure, but it's great to get to work with a good team and to be, as Aaron said, so warmly welcomed in a county, and it's refreshing, let me tell you. After 34.5 years working all over the state, it's refreshing to work in a county where there is support, where you're made to feel welcome, where there is morals still exhibited every day. That's great to see. And it's my pleasure to be here.
And you said the new positions, 25% will be 25% funded by us.
Yes.
You can't beat that.
No, for exact numbers, it's 25.28% that Mitchell County has on the position versus 50. So if we do the other position, that would be 50-50. But we would still have 2 full-time people.
Then gotcha.
For a lot less money.
Yeah, for less than one FTE, that's.
Yeah.
So can you negotiate and get that 25.8?
I negotiated pretty hard to get to there. The EdNet position, we started at 50-50 and we got it to 70-30. Not sure NC State is gonna give in to me on the 50-50 on that. Yeah. But, and I am a Wolfpacker, Steve. So I am a Wolfpacker, so. Twice. So,
Gotcha.
As alumni 4-H, I can testify to like all the skills I learned in that growing up. I can still tell you about utter placement and replacement.
Right, exactly.
Very Cal judging, so a lot of good stuff's taught in 4-H.
Yeah, I like to tell people I'm a product of 4-H and FFA, and you can switch those either way. Both of those organizations are great, and they instill confidence and they instill abilities that you don't learn in other places.
If you need some help judging some dairy cows, I got your back.
All right, we might take you up on that. You never know.
Thank you, John. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And we'll get you an answer.
Okay.
As quick as possible on that.
I certainly appreciate that. Thanks, bud.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Next, we got the local health and data transfer search.
Great, so they might get you plugged in here, that's. Fired up, the mirror ready.
I've seen you all before.
I think it's all the information you've always been on to do that.
While they're getting that. Going. Hello, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. Legal package. I like the paper copy, thank you.
Good. And that's just a little part of it.
Yes. Thanks for
You're good.
Yes.
But you know what? I want you. I mean.
We appreciate it.
I told them.
Excellent.
And I saw that very good reward.
Yes. Yes. Really does, they do a great job. We're very fortunate. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Just a little bit, bro. Long way.
Well, Dr. Tom Kalinowski and I are here this evening to give you a quick look at search and the project that you funded in the spring of 2022. There are some other funders who contributed to this project as well. The AMY Wellness Foundation, the Fund for Mitchell County, and the Family Foundation. And we're grateful to them and to the many sources that willingly shared information and data. I'd like now to introduce Tom Kalinowski, who is the current chair of the search board. And before he went to medical school, he was an orderly at Goose Pine Community Hospital. That's been a few years ago.
And an operating technician.
Oh,
Working
sorry
surgery
about
as well.
Yeah. And then he went to medical school, and after graduation, he came back here to practice internal medicine with a great group of doctors, including my husband, the Toll River Medical Associates. You may have been a patient or have had family members who were. And in 2005, was it, that you transitioned?
That's right. I shifted my focus from adults and seniors to geriatrics and dementia care. And I worked for about 12 years before I retired with the nonprofit Center for Memory Care in Asheville, and had a satellite clinic serving people in Mitchell-Yancey County with their family members for caregiver education and care of their patient with dementia, for family members with dementia.
So we're very, very happy to have him as our board chair. And
Thank you. Thanks, Susan. Yeah, and as she mentioned, my passion for rural healthcare really started when I moved here and met the people I lived and worked with those 2 years before I went to medical school. And I consider myself grateful, and I've had blessings to be able to come back here and live and work in this area. So thanks for having us tonight to present this report. The search's mission is to promote local, quality, and accessible and affordable healthcare for Mitchell-Yancey County residents. We believe that through engaging residents in conversations about community health and working together, we can help meet such challenges that crop up during ordinary times, but also during things like the recent COVID pandemic. And search, as you know, stands for sustaining essential and rural community healthcare. As some of you recall, search grew out of the community voices that gathered in 2017 around the loss of labor and delivery services. Search members provided feedback from our community to HCA and the North Carolina Attorney General's office with the important result of a commitment stipulated in an asset purchase agreement that for at least 10 years, emergency medical services, surgical services, and acute medicine services would be maintained at the Blue Ridge Regional Hospital. In 2020, Search incorporated as a nonprofit with an all-volunteer board. We continue to meet with area residents and gather input related to community health and well-being. We share what we learn with stakeholders so that grassroots voices are heard when decisions are made that affect the delivery of healthcare in Mitchell and Yancey counties. Search continues to meet regularly with the Blue Ridge Regional Hospital Administration to review the services offered in our community. In the time allowed today, it's really not possible for me to go through and summarize an 82-page report like this, but we have shared with you about a 12-page copy of the executive summary and conclusions, as well as a 1-page infographic. I do want to just kind of give you some nuggets from our recent presentation last month here at Healthy Mitchell meeting. And so this is an abridged slide edition, but we decided to look at healthcare in our communities from the approach of the landscape of your lifespan landscape, starting with mothers and young children, because labor and delivery is kind of where search started. And as you see, we looked at youths, adults and working age, seniors, and then one category that encompasses all ages is behavioral health. So that's how our report is broken down in our longer presentation that we'd like to share with you at another time. So one of the things we first started out with the Access to Care Committee was we looked at utilization patterns of where people go for their care. And certainly from our history, we asked the question, where do expected mothers now go for labor and delivery services? Initially, we found what we would expect. So for Mitchell County, mothers were going to Mission Hospital Asheville, Mission Hospital McDowell, and Watauga Medical Center, just because of geographic reasons. In Yancey County, the third place is at Advent Health in Hendersonville. We heard anecdotally that some people are going to Tennessee for their labor and delivery services, but we had a hard time getting that information initially. It's sometimes a challenge just to get information about North Carolina hospitals in terms of services and the data that comes through. The Sheff Center in Chapel Hill helps with that, and some of the American Community Survey data and census data also helps out. We found out about 2 weeks ago from the North Carolina Division or Department of Vital Statistics, a breakdown for the year 2022 for Mitchell County residents births by hospital. But you'll see sometimes a hospital may mean a birthing center, and there's actually 2 home births in that year. We were actually surprised that the out-of-state locations for births for Mitchell County residents was out of state and 13, and they were all from Tennessee, confirmed by the Department of Vital Statistics, and Watauga comes in 4th. In Yancey County, out of state was the 4th most frequent place that now people are looking for where to go for labor and delivery services. The voices that we heard in the moms and baby groups that one of our committees works on is called the Community Engagement Program. They do a lot of listening sessions on different aspects of healthcare. One community voice stood out, and in our report, this one stood out for us on the topics of moms and babies and where people go for delivery. One voice was, I'm not having another baby because labor and delivery closed. My wife delivered in 3 hours. We want another child, but I've decided not to. This attitude may be reflective of a population trend in our rural population and our rural communities. The decrease from the year that I showed you earlier on the slide, which was fiscal year 2019 to 2020, there were 146 births. And in 2020, there was 103 births, and that reflects about a 29% decrease. So that's something that maybe is a trend to look at and just follow and be aware of. As we gather data across other population groups, our access to care team began also to look at transportation. Where do people need to go for transportation to get medical services? So for instance, in the fiscal year 2021, 2022, not only did the Mitchell County Transportation Authority accumulate an impressive number of transportation miles for health-related trips. The second bullet there on the left is that 78% of passenger miles were out of county. If we dig down further into some of our data tables, we find that about 52% of those passenger miles were for seniors. We also follow things like the 911 center calls, and about 1 out of 5 calls to the 911 center result in a medical response. And we learned also from the EMS reports that this past fiscal year that just finished, Mitchell County EMS reported an increase of about 18% in their call volume. So they're seeing an increase in need for transport for medical problems and somewhat stressed still by the workforce issues related to that.
Dr. Kelly,
Yes.
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Relating to that subject, maybe now's not the time. But we have struggled, not struggled, but our EMS is overburdened. Because whatever lands in the local hospital, whether it be from McDowell, Yancey, or Avery, and there's a transport issue, our EMS has to transport. That's the truck out of the county. We have 3 trucks from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And after that, we have 2 trucks. So that transport takes place after 7 p.m. That only leaves us 1 EMS vehicle in our county. And if I'm not mistaken, not many years ago, the Blue Ridge Hospital system had a facility on site, a building, for EMS was stationed to do transport with living quarters at that hospital. And that has been taken away through a regional transport service through all the counties. And boy, you may jump in on this and piggyback, and I may be totally wrong, but it's my understanding that if that hospital is local, like it is in Spruce Pine right now, they must provide transport if necessary.
Brand a facility?
Yes, at that facility. And that's not happening. And the problem we're running into, and our EMS service is running into, it doesn't matter if that patient comes from Yancey. Yancey's not coming back and transporting that individual. Our folks are having transport, which leaves our county short EMS. Has your group search addressed this problem with Mission?
We've not looked into that in detail. I've heard that happening in other communities in the area and recently heard that I think one of the other surrounding counties put out a 45-day.
McDowell County.
I think
McDowell County EMS,
some type of,
45 days, there were not more transfer.
right, and I think that's a challenge. I think that's being, approached and looked at, but we haven't looked
Yeah,
at that.
because at the
directly.
end of the day, you don't want to not be able to transport a patient.
No, I think that's an important concern.
And if it's code red, not always is a helicopter able to fly and land. Which brings up a totally different other situation when we're transporting that individual with a code red.
I think at the Healthy Mitchell meeting, someone mentioned from the dispatcher group that when that occurs in terms of those delays and transfers, I think the only ones that are approved are trauma, cardiac, active labor, and a stroke, sort of a neurological or urgent transfer. But even then, I think those are sometimes backed up from what I understand in terms of the workforce issues or the delay issues at the receiving hospital.
Well, yeah, I think it all boils down from the transporter that Mission Healthcare is using. And that regional transport covers all the counties encompassed under HCA, which I think is Jackson. It encompasses Brevard, it encompasses McDowell, and of course Mitchell.
No, you bring up a good point. So.
And our EMS they do transport non-life threatening situations too.
Yeah,
Having that patient
we were transporting them
lay there.
myself.
Would that be something, I know we're having, I think our hospital system is scheduled to express their concerns in February of 2024 to the Attorney General on his findings for that. Is that something that search your agency would be willing to pull the data on and bring the research on and say, why are you not providing transport for these citizens?
That's a good question. And right now we're an all volunteer board with only one half paid administrative assistant. So that may be a challenge, but that's an important thing to put into our agenda to look into. Yeah.
You know, because what it's going to boil down to at the end of the day for this county, if we go 3 full times, then our EMS goes up.
Right. Yeah.
Commissioner Harding, I had Stephanie Wiseman chime in via watching the live stream, and she said, just as a point of fact, the hospital has to arrange a transport, but not provide it. She just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
So the hospital does have to arrange it, for Stephanie's comment.
Okay, that's glad had some misinformation, so thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you, Stephanie. Yeah.
To the owl.
In terms of behavioral health topics, we looked at some of the Healthy Impact Survey respondent reports, and we learned that in 2021, the Healthy Impact Survey respondents were more likely to report difficulties accessing mental health care than having trouble getting needed medical care. And this graph just shows the change from about 8%, say, for Mitchell County, that Mitchell County is in purple and Yancey County is in green on our graph here. It went up to 2021 to about 15.2%, reporting more difficulty in accessing mental health care services compared to medical services. We also looked at emergency room department visits for mental health conditions, and the top 2 diagnoses are anxiety and depression for those situations. And the North Carolina Detect Mental Health Dashboard also told us that 54% of Mitchell County residents reported that their life or the life of someone else they knew has been negatively affected by a substance use disorder. In our full report, we note our services and agencies and facilities that stand out in our community, and we point out some of these under headings that we refer to as what's helping, and that's sometimes in the full report. I don't have those slides that show all that here today. And where we also learn there are challenges and gaps, we put those under the headings called what's hindering. And so we focused also in our report blending in some of the community voices that express the sentiments regarding the challenges addressing healthcare services in need. One of those voices mentioned that it was awful. Sometimes it's often found that people cannot afford to get the recommended treatment or medications. Lack of insurance and transportation keep people from getting or using primary care. Another voice that was more related to some of the behavioral health issues is that it shared that the biggest healthcare problems here are opioids and mental health issues, and they go hand in hand. We finished up our report with a list of some challenges. Provider retention and recruitment has always been a situation. When I went to medical school, the North Carolina Office of Rural Health Services was very involved in recruiting people, and I did some of my rotations out here in medical school. I came to Bakersfield Clinic at that time and did some other rotations in Western North Carolina. Citizens conveyed a stress in navigating what they refer to sometimes as a patchwork system of care, especially when they had conditions requiring specialists in heart disease, lung disease, and cancer care. Some of the moms and babies voiced feedback was also that they felt that there could be a better way to help communication between the obstetricians at the now locations of labor and delivery and some of the community providers, and that could improve the continuity of care that they would want. And also the stresses of sometimes traveling so soon after delivery. You felt something, if they say, well, return in 24 hours or 40 hours for this problem, it's easy to say that, but it may not be easy to do geographically where you live the next day or the next 2 days in terms of the things that you have to organize for your own transportation or the care of your family. We list some action items that include ways that we can share and let people be more aware of resources and building trust among the community and the providers and the services provided. And also just the other parts about expanding and improving, say, informational and digital resources. How can we focus on some of those so that we can help those people meet their access to care needs? Going forward, we hope our work and our report can take some of the lessons learned from the importance of coordination and collaboration among the agencies and services we experienced during the COVID pandemic. And we encourage continued efforts at achieving a high-performing rural health system addressing the needs in the area. On behalf of our board and the hardworking volunteers of our Access to Care Committee and also the Community Engagement Program Group, that's a committee that works actively with search and does a lot of listening sessions. We respectfully request about maybe an hour of your time, perhaps in January, when the Board of Commissioners schedule would allow more time to present our full report and have your input. And some of those questions that you raised earlier today would be a good thing to discuss. We invite you to appoint one commissioner or Mitchell County official as a liaison to our Access to Care Committee, and that would be a help to us. In closing, I'll mention two other documents that we would like to make available to other stakeholders. One is the digital health data workbook that Search's Access to Care Committee put together. It has over 100 tabs and offers comparisons with Mitchell and Yancey County to Avery and McDowell. That information, that workbook, can be of value to agencies and organizations in grant application processes and planning. And then the other is a report that we did share with you digitally through, I think, Alan Cook today. And it's a report called Beyond Substance Use, Community Voices, Community Solutions. It's a detailed summary of listening sessions that Search conducted in the past 9 months with law enforcement, emergency responders, families, schools, and service providers. And this report serves as a complement to the current work I understand that the County Opioid Settlement Committee Core team is currently in the process of conducting. So I encourage you to look through this report, and it's broken down into nice sections where the color coding tells you which group the voices in the community are coming from, whether it's families, schools, or the law enforcement or EMS personnel. So thank you for your attention, your time and interest. in the healthcare matters that Search is concerned about. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Want to unplug all the gadgets.
Yeah.
They can just leave them on the podium or hand them up to me.
I'll hand them up to you that way.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next item we have on the agenda this evening is a resolution supporting the Operation Greenlight for veterans. I think it's in your packet. Do I have a motion? We approve the resolution. Second. Second. All in favor, vote the usual sign. Motion carries.
Taylor, can you make sure to send that to Kevin at the NCACC? Kevin, the NCACC.
And just
Winter.
keep an eye on that. I have the green lights came in today. Am I correct, Mavis?
This afternoon, and Danny's already picked them up.
So then we're working on getting everything illuminated on Operation Greenlight. I intend to have a green light cast on the front of the county administration building, the county flagpole area over here, the flag and the side of the historic Bakersville courthouse will be cast in green. And the flag and memorial veteran at the new courthouse hill will be cast in green to honor veterans, honor our military for Veterans Day week. So this board passing that resolution
And
shows honor.
that's a statewide initiative going through the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. So they're trying to light up the whole state in green, and there've been several residents that have asked, where can they get green light bulbs? Taylor, can you answer that question for them? Amazon or Lowe's possibly?
Yes,
Amazon.
actually, if you will go to, you can go on the NCACC website, and I'm sure it's on the front page, but if you scroll down, there's a link, and they've created kind of like a wish list where, you can go, but anyway, they've got a whole list of green light bulbs, green projectors, floodlights that are green, and then flags and other things that you can get, I guess, that work how they want them to. I don't know. But it's on the NCACC website.
WLOS News 13 is supposed to be covering our Operation Greenlight.
And thank you for doing that.
Honored to do that. Honored this board is supporting that resolution.
Next item we got on the agenda this evening is the WAMI CSBG grant documentation. Are you talking to that one?
I can.
Taylor can.
So I got an email about that. It's been several weeks ago now. Basically, there's no action required and there's no funding required, which is why I didn't put it on the consent since there is no vote needed. But basically that just has to be presented to you guys for you to look over before you can apply for anything with WAMI. And then this is me doing what I was told. I have to say that, yes, I did present it to you. So now you have got it and there's nobody can say you didn't because it's on the live stream. So,
This is for a new block grant, is this what this is?
yes, before you can apply for any of those, this just has to be presented to you and I will sign it and send it back tomorrow. So here you go.
Next item on the agenda this evening is our TDA quarterly finance report. Ms. Davis. That.
I will do this. This is actually for the first quarter, July through September. We didn't have time in the agenda last month to do it, so I'm gonna do this, and it's for the first quarter, and just let you know, their current balance on their account is $181,000. And I did go back and look at some numbers. Interestingly enough, for the same time period last year, for the same period this year, occupancy tax is up about 21%. So it's still holding strong, and the numbers are still good for the TDA right now.
How about that program we bought, Megan?
That program we bought, interestingly enough, never came to tuition. And just this week, Harley and Matt and I and Alan, I think, had his input in it too. We discussed what to do about that program. They could never get it off the ground like they promised. So finally, they decided that we had a couple of options. We could cancel our contract. They would let us out of the contract and refund our money. Or they would give us another year free to try to
continue. We all felt the same way, that they had dropped the ball, and so we opted to cancel. And they have emailed me that confirmation and are sending our request for refund to finance, and hopefully we'll get that refund. And interestingly enough, there's another company that's reached out to us. So I have turned that over to Matt and Harley and the new CDA director that's coming on board shortly. And I'm gonna let them look at a demonstration of that software on the 20th, I think, of this month. And they're gonna look at that and see if this program, if they can do what they said they could do. I really think that the other company probably is not geared to this rural area, and I think they thought they would have more tools at their access and be able to pull the information more readily than they were able to. We had to feed them most of everything that they had to start with from our tax office, so I think, or the other problem could have been is their staff, and they just didn't have staff to get us assigned and get us built out as quickly as they said they could. So they dropped the ball a little bit, but I think we'll just take our money back. So that's where we are on that one.
Sorry, I meant to get a sidetrack.
Phew, I know, that's been a hot topic, and I was very disappointed because they made a lot of promises in the beginning, so. Anyway, any questions on the TDA finances? And Misty will be at their next meeting to do their budget presentation, so.
With the purchase of, I mean,
Their audit presentation, sorry.
if you guys decide to go with, this other program, come out of our budget or come out of TDA's budget?
Probably be TDA at that point in time. See, when we did the other one, TDA didn't have the budget or the funds. And so, of course, that would be up to the TDA board to make that decision, but I would think at this point in time,
It's established, so I think.
yeah, we can step out of it and let them make the decision if they want to even do something like that. Or maybe the new TDA part-time director will do something herself. She may not
That program.
even want to look at a program.
Surprised that many Airbnbs like we have in the county.
This new company's made a projection, Matt's got that, and I can't remember, but they're projecting even more than what that other company had projected as far as the number of rentals, vacation rentals. It had jumped like another 40 or 60.
It was a lot.
It was a lot, and I'm like, I think what they're doing is when a place actually advertises, if it advertises in 2 or 3 different sites, I think that company's picking that one rental up maybe 4 times or 3 times versus 1 time, because the numbers seem to really extremely high to me. Because we've kind of manually been putting together a list, and every time we come up with a new one, we've been giving it to Matt, and he's been kind of building a list, and we're not coming up with near the number that.
We have a lot, just not
What these companies are saying we have. So they're gonna have to prove it to us before we would believe it. However, occupancy tax is definitely not slipping at all. It's holding still.
The board seems to think that's contributed to higher room rents possibly,
Well,
so.
Inflation.
right, and it's, right. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Next item on the list tonight, Alan, I think we tabled this from last time. Get an update on the right of way.
Yeah, I reached out to Doug Hutchinson, about the right of way. And so, addressed y'all's concerns via an email, so, his reply was, Alan, the, P1 seems closer to the road and does not appear to conflict with future building plans. Y'all concerns with future building plans, private landowner access and future development of the land that we co-own with Yancey County, in Yancey County, near the landfill area. So P1 seems closer to the road, does not appear to conflict with future building plans. P3, and these are points, is more centrally located within the property. Distribution lines don't restrict future building like transmission lines do. I've been to many houses with distribution lines in their backyard or over the roof. The easement allows for future road widening. Duke would handle moving the poles in that case. The property is actually in Yancey County. Lynn has yet to indicate that there are future development plans for that piece. He don't know that we co-own it. Lynn said that Yancey County is on board and she is going to try and sign this week or next week at the latest. So what our concerns were was, you know, when we enter into a land agreement with, easements related to power, you know, what are we putting what are we putting those citizens into? I feel like since this is a distribution line rather than a transmission line, that we got a little bit more leeway. I do think that having the leverage of being two county entities that own this land, that we can leverage Duke Power to move it if needed. I feel like the board should move forward with allowing for the easement upon legal review.
Mr. Chairman, I would correct one statement that's in there. The typical language for an easement allows them to require you not to locate things underneath their lines, including distribution lines. If we were to reserve that right, we'd need to specify it because there's case law out there where power companies have required folks to remove sheds and other buildings from beneath power lines. The power company does identify that as a safety concern. So with that caveat, we can either word this to where you can still locate things underneath the distribution line if they will agree to that language. The other language that I'd recommend to Mr. Cook that we strike was the one that allowed them to unilaterally relocate it. If it's going to be relocated, my thinking is it should come back for further approval by this board, rather than just give them the unilateral right to move a power line without your input. But otherwise, with those two caveats, I didn't see anything else that might be of concern.
So can we get a motion to move forward with that pending the update of?
And I did reach out to Mr. Boyd at my, he said that it would not agree anything of it.
If we can get a motion, for.
Signing the easement upon Four's tweaking of the language.
Close enough? Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? The usual sign, motion carries forward. You'll update that. We can communicate that, Alan. As such.
Yes, sir.
Next thing, we got this evening is the consent agenda. The motion to approve the consent agenda.
One question before we approve it. Are you good with the Hickory construction contract?
Yes, sir. The contract you have before you is an AIA contract. We had previously drafted a contract that is one I prefer for county use. However, it was pointed out by the construction company that the bid documents that were submitted included the use of this AIA contract. So I've made certain changes to it consistent with the bid documents, and it would be appropriate for execution because it would be consistent with your bidding of the project.
Okay, so you're comfortable.
Yes, sir.
I'll make the motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Next, Mavis, anything from the finance office?
In your packets, you've got your monthly year-to-date financial and department percentages. Everything's looking good so far. I don't see anything that's throwing up any red flags. We're on target so far with sales tax, tax collection. And one note on tax collection, I don't think we hit on it during the audit presentation, but just so you know where we are with that, this past year's tax collection rate for our audit was 97.32 versus the year before that was 97.51. And we based this year's current budget on 97.25. So we did a good job, I feel like, kind of hitting right in the middle of the mark there, and we're showing a real consistent trend with that 97 point something, which I feel like is really good. So just so you know, we're on track there. Alta Pass, an update on Alta Pass is the cleaning crew has left. We've been waiting for 2 or 3 weeks now, kind of with not anything going on out there. They're waiting on supplies. They started getting delivered last week. They started bringing in tractor trailer loads of supplies. So I'm thinking that the rebuild crew is going to be on site here in the next few days. We've actually got another load in today, I think Mike said. So once the supplies are there, they're going to start rebuilding. So if you've not been out there and looked, it looks like the inside has just been stripped. It's down to the studs, and now they're going to start rebuilding. So we're excited about that. The baler got removed, and insurance paid for that. I've had no problems with them. So we've communicated that, and Harley has communicated that at her meetings with the insurance. They've been excellent to work with, and we're moving forward. Everything's been ordered, and it's just a matter of getting that project put back together. As far as the finance office, what we're going to be doing now that the audit's done, we will start working on the cost allocation report and get that done in the next month or two. Also, we'll do a budget amendment number 2 here in the next little bit. I'm waiting on getting our new LPA, some more numbers on the operation of that project. And if you've not seen them, I have a draft of the proposed plans for the new space out at the shopping center. I've got those in my office. Stan dropped them off. He's working with Van Phillips on getting that project going for us. In the meantime, I'm sure you've heard we're going to open in the old spot for 2 or 3 months. I'm sure Alan will bring you more up to date on that in his report. So we'll do a budget amendment and bring that new project in here shortly.
I reached out to Ralph to get him to see if we could fund the DMV as a full-time office versus right now they're out there about 3 hours a week. And move them in that other half of that out there. So
you did talk to Ralph? Well, way to go.
So we'll see if that comes to fruition. So
that would be awesome.
Yeah, that way you got the one-stop shop for
it's a good plan.
DMV and the tag. So more to come.
Speaking of that, I did talk to Senator Heiss today about the funding, the new funding that's going to come down in it's not hit our books yet, so I was asking him, and he actually did tell me that the budget will actually not be certified by the governor's office until December. So we're probably gonna be on the same time frame as we were last time, with the additional funding coming for the rec center probably will come more like in the February time frame. If you remember last time, we wrote the documents and did everything in January, sent them in. About 30 days later, we got our money. It was towards the end of February. So he did confirm with me today that he probably feels like that's going to be about the same schedule this year. I don't know, Alan, if you got to talk to him today about that, but I did ask him, and he said they're waiting on the budget to be certified, and that's why we've not seen anything from the direct grant from the Office of State Budget. So that's coming down the pike. I think that's all I have, unless you have something else. Anything else? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
County manager report.
Yeah, as Mavis mentioned, we're moving forward. We interviewed last week for a license plate agency manager and full-time worker. We have 2 folks that were in the process of onboarding. Those folks will be doing training starting the week of November 13th in Rocky Mount. So they're going to be on the road and hit the ground running. The license plate agency will open in the old location on December 6th. So Mitchell County will have license plate services December 6th in the old building. as we move forward, maybe 3 months, we're talking February, March range. We hope to have the old Sears building renovated for the license plate agency to be fully staffed with 2 full-time and 1 part-time staff person. Also, as you can look out the window and as we've talked at our groundbreaking ceremonies, we have completed the baseball field and hydro seeded it today out here at the recreational center project. That baseball field, we were able to navigate the floodplain no rise zone. Had to go through a lot of hoops on that, but we got it out there and tapered it into the floodway really nicely. The building seat is done. We have RFQs out for the design and engineering services. That RFQ closes out on November 15th. So we're excited about getting some plans on the ground and selecting a primary and secondary architect, designer, engineer on that, and get some interest there. Law Enforcement Center, as you saw, there was a Hickory Construction AIA contract in the consent agenda. We had our first pre-construction meeting. I had Lloyd Heiss and Mavis attend with me. Their construction management will be submitting documents on all things to make sure that the plan confers with what's on the ground. So a couple things we got going on with this project is Mosley's construction project management will be check boxing the plan versus the project implementation. We also hired Stan Cook as an agent to the county to look at the structural concerns on this project. And of course, being that our level 3 inspector is contracted to the county, they will do all level 3 inspection services on this project. So with that said, we got a lot of checks and balances to be met on the Law Enforcement Center project. So we look forward to moving forward on that. That project has a start date of November 20th. They have 300 days to complete the project. So we're looking at September. We hope to have a Law Enforcement Center open, or at least in the moving phase. So maybe they'll be operational. I see my 2 law enforcement officers back here. You all may have a new home. Jesse will place some kennels in there for your canines. We hope maybe getting you moved in mid-October if construction stays on schedule. And that concludes my county manager report. I know we got a lot more going on, but I know we got a lot more to go tonight, but I feel like these are noteworthy projects for the community and commission board to know.
Thank you, Alan.
Do you get anything about that sidewalk right through transportation?
I have not. I did inquire about that and it's not came up for a vote yet.
We have a meeting in Friday, next Wednesday. So
I do think
ask
there's a
about it.
November timeframe that maybe we'll know something about that transportation meeting.
You obviously know anything.
I do. Like, so I went with Riley, Picture Masters, sorry, and Matt, to Charlotte. It's a couple weeks ago now. And we went to a grassroots leadership conference. That was really, really fun. We had a good time. We learned a lot. So I went with them to that. And then also I should have, in just a few days, I'm waiting on, I guess she's called it a cotton sample, for your new shirts. So we're gonna be getting you some new shirts pretty soon, and I'm gonna pick those up this week. And so hopefully next time I see you guys, I'll have that for you guys to look at. And then I did get a letter in the mail that I thought I would share with you guys because it's good news. This is a man from Bakersfield. I'm not gonna say his last name. His first name's Paul. I'm not gonna try to pronounce it, but he sent this letter of appreciation. He said he had the unfortunate opportunity to use our services, EMS services, excuse me, early morning, October 13th. I wanted to let you know how much I appreciate the services that your staff provided. The response, the courteous and professional services provided by your entire staff responded was outstanding. Again, thank you, Paul. I'm not going to say his last name, but I'll pass that around for everybody to look at. Oh, that was good news. Wanted to share with everybody. Yeah, that's it. If you have any questions.
Next item on the agenda this evening, we got a closed session, so we'll move down to the other room for the closed session. The purpose of tonight's closed session is for potential property acquisition, attorney-client privilege, and personnel. If I can get a motion to go into that closed session, so moved.
Second.
All in favor?